US interventionism has failed spectacularly at many places, and it has done so for long, going back to the invasion, the Bay of Pigs invasion. And I don't know if you can hear,
Yes,
Akanksha, there's a
yes.
siren going on here. So this is the Iranian reply. It's been underway since this attack began. We've had this kind of warning periodically. So clearly, as we can hear while we speak, the Iranians are hitting back. But the question here is, to what level society in Iran is split? We are quite right to hear from Siddhant that there are people who are loyal to the regime, and certainly when we are speaking of the decline of a certain kind of Islamism, we are not talking about absolutely everybody. It's a country of 93 million. It's a young country. There's a lot of people resistant to it. By all indications, is the majority, but the majority is still not everyone, and that still leaves many, many millions, even if they are in a relative minority, who are now passionate about that kind of Islamism and supportive of this kind of regime. And this is a group that has the control of the apparatus of the state. They have the police, they have the armed forces, they are in power. And there's a limit to what the US and Israel can do. They're not stepping into Iran to effect regime change and to maintain a new regime. It will have to be done within Iran, and these are the people with the guns. They are the ones in position. So if they decide to continue with, if not one leader, the next, or even, let's say, the next, then this is going to certainly drag on and on. It's not going to provoke a dramatic change of heart at the center of the regime.
You know, Donald Trump has indeed defied several international norms over here, as you were saying, that what's the most opaque action which is being condemned is at the moment that he did not consult the Congress, because according to the US Constitution, if he has to declare war, then it has to go through the US Congress. And I quickly want to bring in Siddhant on that note. Siddhant, how is this going to now go forward for the domestic front of the US president, given it's a very key strategic year for them? He's headed into midterms.
Well, that's right. It's a very key strategic years, Akanksha, and also, Donald Trump was surrounded by a lot of controversies, perhaps especially after Epstein file being made public by U.S. Justice Department, and also given Supreme Court striking down the entire tariff policy of Donald Trump. So he was definitely looking for some relief. So this particular development will give him some relief in his own domestic politics in United States, and perhaps will surely raise his political stocks, because what U.S. forces could do under his regime perhaps was the dream of many former U.S. Presidents. So taking down Ali Khamenei, taking down the Iranian regime is huge. It's big. So it will be a breather for President Trump as far as his domestic politics is concerned. At the same time, if this is true, and if there is a smooth regime change takes place in Iran, then he would definitely be leaving behind a very big legacy of taking down Ali Khamenei.
True, but what will be the cost of that claim is something which we'll have to see playing out in the days ahead. But Sanjay, remember, this is a US president who in fact arrived upon the promise that he is going to put an end to US interventionism in the Middle East. In fact, for the longest time during his election campaigns, I remember he's prided himself in opposing the war in Iraq as well. Now, if you look at a US president who has always condemned other presidents, even his own Republican counterparts like George Bush, or say the Democrat presidents like Barack Obama, he's blamed them for fomenting violence and for fomenting war. He's now towing the same path, the same trajectory play out again. And that in itself has arrived as a huge shocker for many, including me.
Well, this is not just a question of disregarding the norms and the U.S. Constitution itself, and of bypassing Congress. Not for the first time, as we know that Trump has bypassed Congress controversially. It's not certain that he can do that and get away with it again and again. He's also bypassed international norms. There is still a United Nations in place, even though no one takes it very seriously anymore. And there would be basic principles like the integrity of another country. Of course, given the aims of Israel particularly, and it's Israel here that is driving this policy, these are not considerations, or these are not niceties of international conduct that Trump would have considered. They want Khamenei out. They have got it. To that extent, this is in the immediate a tactical and a huge tactical success for the US and Israel. It makes the strike a dramatic success. But it's really the question, the test of its success will be if it can endure. If now you have in place another leadership arising from within the IRGC or from the Islamic establishment in Iran, and that continues its policy, it continues to control the guns and the strong arm of the state, and that policy continues and continues to put down any protests as firmly as we've seen in the recent past and on recent occasions, then this would be just a change of face and name, no real change within the way Iran is being run and governed. So it's now a test of whether the establishment in Iran cracks up in the face of this loss of their leader. If it holds together, then Trump does not have the success that he seems to have in the here and now.
Let's quickly go across to Siddhant on that note as well. Siddhant, do you think that this is also going to have ramifications on his own domestic audiences, given that he is looking at the lowest ratings for himself at the moment? Of course, everything seemed hunky-dory for him during the State of the Union address, according to all the claims that he made about how the US economy was looking good. But if the poll ratings are anything to go by, that's not what the majority of American population feel. Would they also be in agreement with this kind of an out or in the open conflict with the Middle East right now?
Well, Akanksha, what I feel is that that this will definitely boost the political stocks of President Trump, and as far as the international norms, international order, taking approval from Congress, all these things don't bother President Trump much. But if what he claims that Ali Khamenei is dead, he has been killed in the US strikes, then this would definitely be boosting his political stocks back home. Point number one. Point number two, now there are contradictory reports coming in, Akanksha, where some of the international media is reporting that Iran's foreign ministry dismisses claims of the supreme leader Ali Khamenei's and President Pezeshkian's death, as President Trump says attacks will continue as long as necessary. So these contradictory reports are concerning because President Trump has already made public that Ali Khamenei is no more. Israelis are saying that he has been taken down. Now, Iran's foreign ministry reportedly dismisses claims of the supreme leader Ali Khamenei and President Pezeshkian death. So let's wait for some more clarity, or rather evidence to be made public by Israelis and the United States. Perhaps then only the world will be convinced that Ali Khamenei has been taken down. But in my opinion, this will boost President Trump's political stocks back home. And because generations in the United States are grown up hearing stories about Iran developing nuclear bomb. Iran is a missile power. How Iran is an imminent threat to the people of United States, etc., etc.